guys, it's Anthony. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to go over some car sales advice, specifically EQ. For those of you who aren't familiar with EQ, that stands for emotional intelligence, just like IQ, right? So IQ is something we've heard about since we were kids. I think we take our first IQ test in school, usually around second grade. IQ is a measure of a person's intelligence, and there's different types of intelligence, obviously. Some people are book smart, which will translate to IQ, and some people are street smart, and some people are smart in an artistic way, which maybe doesn't translate to a standardized test. But EQ has really been picking up steam the last, I would say, about 5 years, about 7 years, 7 to 10 years. I mean, it's definitely been prominent for 30 plus years, but I think it's really picking up steam and credibility, and it's becoming a focal point in the hiring process for businesses, all the way from Fortune 500 companies down to smaller sales and retail environments. I definitely put a lot of emphasis on EQ. And in today's video, I just want to go over a couple statistics that I pulled up. I was just Googling around. I found an article that had a bunch of stats, and I figured I'd just kind of read them off, and we would just organically have a little conversation about it. I'll give you a handful of stats. We're going to talk about this in plenty of videos, but for the sake of this video, it's one article, and I figured we'd go over some of the stats. So if I just take it from the top here, so this is great. It says a survey from Levo Institutes, Levo, I believe it's pronounced Levo Institute, states that 80% of employees consider emotional intelligence crucial for developing their career. So emotional intelligence, I think a lot of times we know what it is, but we can't really quantify it or label it or name it, but it's that feeling inside of us, that roller coaster up and down that we feel as salespeople. And in the car business, I know more than anything, we feel it, and it's that up and down where one day we're on top of the world, we're selling 3 cars, we're making all the money, and the next day we can't get anybody on the phone. Nobody's picking up. Everybody's hanging up on us. Every customer's credit challenged, upside down, this, that, and it feels like the world's over, right? So I talked about this in other videos before. I remember a therapist once had told me, he had said that on a scale of 1 to 10, always try to fly around a 7. Because at 10, being that high, anything after that feels like a drop-off, right? So a 9 or an 8 feels, like you lost something. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to feel like on top of the world, and the next day you're having a really good day, a great day even, but it feels less than. So you want to fly around a 7. You don't want to be too high. You don't want to be too low. Obviously, if you're a 1 or a 2, you don't want to be down there. That's where you're manically depressed. So try to fly around a 7. Don't let the great days, blind you from tomorrow possibly not being as great. Not saying it's not going to be a good day or something bad's going to happen, but you're not always going to feel on top of the world. And if you're having a bad day, don't say to yourself, I'm stuck here, it's never going to get better, right? Feelings are good and bad, in our minds, but at the end of the day, they're neither. They just are. They're just feelings, right? They come and go, right? It's like hunger. You get hungry, and you're not. You get, so don't take it too seriously, but emotional intelligence, 80% of people feel that it's going to be beneficial towards their career. I think a lot of times, I would say that number is even higher. We just don't really know what it is going on, but those ups and downs, our ability to manage our emotional state, that's our emotional intelligence. Oh, I like this one. 59% of employers would not hire someone who has a high IQ but a low EQ, right? So a high IQ but a low EQ. So that's taking it to the next level. That's identifying that person's, book smart, intelligent, they have intellect, but if they're emotionally unstable, if they're not able to manage their emotional state, 59% of employers state they wouldn't hire that person. I know personally in my interviewing process, I've had a few people ask me if it mattered whether or not they went to college. And me personally, I could care less. I mean, I really could care less. I would rather hear that you've had either sales experience, which once again isn't a prerequisite for me. If I'm being honest, I'd rather you have no experience doing anything at all, and I can mold you to become the salesperson that I want you to be. The only requirement for me is that you're a good person. If you're a good person, I trust I can make you a great employee. Shout out to John Luciano, RK Chevy Kia Subaru. He taught me that. So if you're a good person, I can make you a great employee. Part of being a good person as well, when I identify and I'm trying to pick up these things in the interviewing process, is how do you handle disappointment and failure, right? How do you handle that? Are you going to crumble under the pressure of a couple bad days, or are you going to be able to to rise up like a phoenix and be able to get back on the saddle. So these are things that in the interviewing process are tough to pick up at times, but 59% of employers say they're not going to hire you if they feel you have a low EQ. So manage that emotional state. We're going to go over ways to do that in future videos. May it be meditation, may it be exercise, may it be some different things that I do day in and day out that I was forced to do when getting sober. I've shared in videos before that I have a couple months over 6 years of continuous sobriety. I was forced to adopt these skills and these tools because without them, I didn't think I was going to survive. So I will share them with all of you in future videos. 75% of employers said that they're more likely to promote a worker with high EQ, right? High EQ. I had this conversation with a few managers a couple days ago. You know, a lot of times in sales, we feel that because a person is a great salesperson, they'll translate to a great manager. And that's not necessarily the case. That's a completely different skill set. It's for the same reason why a lot of great athletes don't become great coaches. One of the reasons is that they, as an athlete, and this applies for sales too. I believe sales is our sport, right? I consider us, business athletes, right? They, as an athlete, can't understand that not everyone was born with the same God-given talents as them, right? So they don't know how to comprehend that, and they expect everyone to have the intuition and the intrinsic talents that they have, and that's not the case. I think great managers do have high EQ. They're able to, despite everything that's going around them, all of the chaos, keep it together and individually be able to lead people. So, like, hypothetically, the example would be if a salesperson that's slacking off and not doing their job, or whatever the case may be, maybe there's some type of ag going on, then I have a salesperson who is doing their job and they deserve praise. I'm not going to take, whatever's going on with the underachieving salesperson and hold that against the salesperson that deserves praise. I'm not going to deprive that salesperson of the praise they're due. So you have to treat everyone individually. Obviously, you manage the store as a whole, but every single person has their own story. They have their same ups and downs. They have their same stuff going on. So if you do have a high EQ and your understanding of that, I think as a manager, you'll be able to differentiate and compartmentalize your business relationship or your scenarios or situations with each of your employees. So I think EQ does that. You won't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? If you have one person who's not doing their job, you're not going to hold it against the other 19 or vice versa, whatever the numbers may be. People with high EQ make $29,000 more annually than people with low EQ. And that's average. I feel like in sales, that number's way higher. I think for a 9-to-5 job, right? I think that number's probably accurate. But I think in sales, it's very high risk, high reward. It's very risky to have a low EQ in a sales environment where, it's the first of the month, and then next thing you know, you're slacking off a little bit. You're not managing your emotional state. You're taking yesterday's baggage into today with you. You're taking your crap from home into work with you, and next thing you know, the first turns into the seventh, and then you start feeling the pressure because you haven't sold any cars the first week of the month, and now you're beating yourself up and you're feeling stressed, and now next thing you know, you feel desperate, and you surrender all leverage or control you have with your customers, and they feel that, and next thing you know, you're second-guessing yourself, you're in your own head, and now the 7th turns into the 14th, and then you're really feeling the pressure, and then now you're saying to yourself, all right, well, this isn't my month, and you start thinking ahead till the 1st of the next month, and now you wrote this month off completely. Like, all of these things happen if we don't take things a day at a time, sometimes a minute at a time, right? Just because you had a bad morning doesn't mean you have to have a bad day. There's no rule saying that, right? And I think all of us have had that happen. All of us have had kind of a crappy morning and the day turned around. And if that's happened for you, then look at that as an example that it could happen again, right? If it happened once, it can happen again. You are in control of your day. You're in control of your destiny. And at any time, you could stop, breathe, and reset. At any time. You could do it at any time. You could take a couple breaths. Take a walk around the building. Do whatever you have to do, right? Get up, stretch your legs. But at any time, you could restart your day. And the proof's in the pudding. You're going to feel it and see it in your paychecks if you can manage your EQ. One study of 44 Fortune 500 companies found that salespeople with high EQ produce twice the revenue of those with average or below average scores. So that's a Fortune 500 company saying that salespeople, specifically with high EQ, produce twice the revenue of those with average or below average EQ. I'll give you a couple more here. In a survey conducted for entrepreneurs in 2020, shout out to our entrepreneurs, more than 95% stated that EQ in leadership is more important than IQ, right? So we as salespeople, right, or we as entrepreneurs state that in a leadership role, we'd rather have somebody with high EQ than IQ, right? And I'll give you a little quote that I love, right? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. We don't care how smart you are unless we know you care. And caring, that empathy, is part of your EQ as a leader as well. Let's see. One more for you. And we'll go. Here we go. This is from the article, What Makes a Leader, in the Harvard Business Review, January of 2004. So now we're going back almost 20 years. Emotional intelligence counts for nearly 90% of what moves people up the ladder when IQ and technical skills are roughly similar. So let me repeat that. Emotional intelligence, when everything's equal, with IQ and technical skills. So let's say you have two salespeople, right? They're just as smart as each other. Both know the product and the process of the store. Maybe both have the same sales skills and salesmanship and the ability to make car deals. 90% of what moves one person up the ladder as opposed to the other, when IQ and technical skills are roughly similar, is EQ. So there are just a few stats. There's plenty more. We're going to talk about managing our emotional state in future videos, but I think the proof's in the pudding that EQ is super important. Let's focus on ours today, and we're going to see it in our paychecks. Hey, my friend, thank you for watching. And if you want to see videos just like this one, please like and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate the love and support. And don't forget, leave some comments down below. I'm looking forward to all of your interaction and feedback, and I can't wait to bring you more videos just like this one. Thanks again. I'll talk to you soon.